Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Ceron, CWB Association Welding Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association Podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and as always, I'm looking all over Canada for the coolest stories and the best guests I can find. This week, I have a group of people coming in to me from Kapuskasing, Ontario, which is Elissa Mayhew, Rosane Parent, and Megan Parent coming to us from Maurice Welding. They are a multifaceted shop up in Northern Ontario that services a lot of different industries. So, hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Doing good.
Awesome. Looks like you got a nice sunny day out there. I can see in Megan's window that you got some sunshine. I know we've been having crazy rain out here in Saskatchewan. How's it been in the Ontario region? Rosane, been getting lots of rain up there?
We're getting a lot of rain and a lot of sunshine mixed in one and the other, but it's nice. It's different than the snow.
Awesome. So Alyssa was telling me that Kapuskasing, Ontario is pretty far north. So Alyssa, how far north are we talking, like in Ontario? So if people are trying to figure out where this is on a map, especially our listeners in the USA, where are we going? How are we finding your guys' town?
It's about 10 hours north of Toronto, and in the region you've got Cochrane and Timmins, about 2 hours away.
Okay, so those are the bigger centers. People can figure it out. Now, Maurice Welding, and I think this is a Rosane question. You work for Maurice. You're in the admin office there. What is your role there at Maurice Welding?
Jack of all trades. Actually, I do project management.
Okay.
I came on board with our team back in 2020 when we opened the Kapuskasing division of Maurice Welding. Maurice Welding was established in Hearst since 1959, actually.
Wow.
So I take care of safety. I take care of quality, TSSA, welding, inspections. That's all my game. And I put together special projects. So I like to work with our Indigenous partner. I like to work with our women and our youth. And I think that we have undiscovered resources. So instead of always looking elsewhere, to look within our community to see how we can build our teams. Because everybody knows that manpower is at a premium right now and everybody's, screaming for people.
Mm-hmm. So, Rosane, what led you down that path? Because that's a very specific niche of industry. Not only the specialized welding game, the custom fab shop that services this type of industry, but also the passion to support, the underrepresented. What led you down that path?
I come from a family that had its own trucking company. I was driving trucks. I was 18 years old. So I've always been involved in trades. My mom, however, was a politician. She administered the business that we owned, but she did a lot of politics. And I learned very young. In fact, by the age of 8, we were handing out pamphlets and doing community work. And we understood that to have a good life, we needed our community with us. And I think that's always stuck with me. And I know that for Maurice Welding to keep growing, we need to invest into our own people and in those people who have raw talent but might not have the skills that you would put down on a resume. And if we can search for people like that, then we can bring them in and train them in. And I think that's just a lifetime lesson from when I was a kid.
That's awesome. And, politics, it comes up on this show a lot. So I'm a very politically minded person. I feel like to be successful in anything, you do have to understand politics. They kind of are the basis of economy and work and even concepts of justice and right and wrong. And I hear people on this show all the time say, let's not get political, or let's try to separate politics from this or separate politics from that. And I actually think that's the wrong direction. When I was a kid, I would get coached like from my parents about politics, and we'd be involved. I would go to rallies and stuff. And I feel like that helped me understand not just people, but like you said, community. Do you think that's important?
It is. I think you need to be open-minded. Sometimes political parties leave with agendas and, they want you to take one side or the other. I think you need to be open-minded to whatever works for your community at that moment and at that time. And, you might find yourself on one side of the aisle, on one issue, and on the other side on another. I think you need to be true to yourself as well. And you need to look at your community and see what impact can this company make? How can we, because if we are to survive and keep growing, we need to ensure that we have a positive impact in our community as well. And to me, the one equals the other. Like, it's the recipe for success, which is why we were able to turn our look to our youth and to our Indigenous women and bring out some of our candidates from those groups to ensure that we give them the chance that they deserve.
Awesome. So like if we follow that train now to the next level, that leads me to Megan now. So first I need to ask, is there a relationship here family wise? Because it's the same last name.
Actually, it is. I'm Megan. Her father is my second cousin. There we go.
Okay. So for you, Megan, as I know that you're kind of the mentor for Alyssa, so as kind of, if I follow the chain from, Rosane and the company giving the space, now you're coming in to use that space.
Yep.
To weld. And so let's talk a little bit about what you do for Maurice Welding and sort of your role.
Okay. So my role in Maurice Welding, actually, so how I got in here was the Women in Welding course, the Indigenous Women in Welding course, I think. Mm-hmm. And I passed, I think it was my flat and my horizontal CWB ticket. And after that, Rosane took me on with the company, and I started working part-time, I think for around the first year. And then the second year I started working full-time, which then they made me pass my my vertical ticket and then my overhead ticket. And after I passed all of my 4 positions, she asked me if I was interested in TSSA, and I said, yeah, I would. I'd love to try. And so my mentor in shop, Denny, he's the one that taught me what I know most about pipe right now. So I passed my 360, my 309, and my 6010 stick, and I also have my full TIG set is carbon steel, and now I just passed, I think, my TIG route and my I'm not sure how
flux
to say that.
Yes. Yeah. So you have, because you'll end up with your F3, F4, then it's your F5, F6. Yep. So yeah, those are amazing, and they're not easy to get, though.
Nope.
They're especially tricky when you get to those stainless roots. Those are tricky.
Stainless was my biggest challenge. Me and Alyssa actually just went on a job, I think 2 hours from Cap to a dam. We had to modify a pipe, which it had to go against the wall, and it had to flow down to attach to a water hose. And that was my first leading job. And Alyssa was with me, and I was teaching her a little bit. And it was my first job actually by myself to do a piping job. And when we first got there, we got out of the truck. I think the guy that escorted us was pretty, I don't want to say uncomfortable. Yeah, very shocked. His face, when we went into the truck, I told Alyssa, I'm like, I don't think he's sure of us. But we did the job right. They were very impressed, and they gave me a knuckle punch, and they were very, very impressed with our work. So that made me feel very great. And I'm sure Alyssa learned a lot, and she had a really good time. And it was very awesome.
So, Megan, how long have you been welding then?
So for Maurice Welding, I've been welding for 4 years, and
Hmm.
I started in high school, so a little bit just like Alyssa, but with my dad was in the trades. So I followed my dad ever since I was a little kid. I've been in the shop ever since I was a little kid. And I remember seeing him weld behind one of those shields, and I was so intrigued, and he told me, you can't look at the light, don't go on the other side. And when he introduced me to those welding courses in high school, that's when I got really interested. I was the only one out of my friends that went into that course. I did very well. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to do welding after high school. I was kind of confused with what I wanted to do. And it was that Indigenous Women in Welding course that really made me who I am today, career-wise, I would say, with the help of Rosane, of course. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
I'm
no,
curious, Megan. Like when you say with the help of Roseanne, having an
yes,
advocate like that at a company. I guess to frame this from my history, what I know of most communities is that if you're in a smaller community, growing up, and I'm not sure if you grew up in Cap or around Cap, but
yep,
usually for younger generations, the idea is to leave, right? Most
yes.
generations, you want to get out of there, you want to go away. So how does someone like Roseanne or in the welding shop keep a young person there? Because the opportunities for welders are huge right now. Like
Yeah.
there's so much work everywhere in the world. So
Mhm.
how does Roseanne and Maurice Welding keep Megan, with all her CWB tickets and all her pipe tickets? How do they keep you there?
Oh my gosh, they've been helping me a lot. So, Roseanne was with another company before Maurice Welding, and I did a co-op with them. And I think that's where she saw my potential. And after graduating high school, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know, I kind of wanted to move away, like you said. Like, I have a cousin out in BC, and my plan was to just go out to go move with him and maybe work with what he was doing over there. But no, when that course came in, she put my name without me knowing. And my dad, my dad pushed me. He really pushed me because he was like, you need to like get your stuff together and say like, here's a great opportunity. Please do it. So I did it for mostly for my dad.
Hmm.
Now I look at it now, and it was mostly for myself.
Hmm.
And I'm very glad that I took on that course because I was struggling a lot after high school, and I just the help that this company gave me, the potential that they saw in me, and they never let me down. They never let me down. And every time I had a little bump in the road, they would always pick me back up. And I think it's just the relationship we have, like with our coworkers, and we're just a really big family here, and everyone helps out each other. Like,
Hmm.
so I'm very, I would say I'm very lucky to have Roseanne and to
Hmm.
have everybody here at the shop, and especially having Alyssa here and teaching her is just incredible. Like, I'm very glad that I met her. Like, it's like she fell, and she was made to be with us. Let's say no, I find it pretty incredible.
All right, well let's follow that train then to
Yeah.
Alyssa. And if you guys have noticed, I've muted some mics as we go, and there's a bit of an echo between the three of you. But Alyssa, uh, you're fresh out of high school. Congrats on graduating less than a month ago.
You.
You're 17 years old. You already got a number of CWB tickets. You were just telling me about this stuff right before the show started. So let's start with your story. How did you get into welding? And you're in the Cap area. Why welding and how did you get there?
So me originally, I signed up for a welding class at school. I had never seen anybody weld in real life. I had seen it like in movies and stuff, but It was nothing
They do
that
it
I
so
was.
badly in movies too. They never do
Yeah.
it right. It's terrible.
Now that I know what it looks like. But yeah, I tried it there for the first time and I discovered I really liked it. And it was my teacher, Jacques Larochelle. He started talking to another teacher called Chloé Brunel, and they are the ones who reached out to Rosane and showed them like, hey, this is what Elissa's been doing. And Rosane told me to bring in my resume, and that's when I applied and everything. And then I started last summer as like a trial run, I guess, with the company to for them to see how what kind of worker I was, kind of thing. And after that, it was in January that Roseanne had reached out to me with an opportunity for an apprenticeship, and I started that in the beginning of February, and now I'm working full time, and yeah, I really like it here.
So, for a young girl, Alyssa, as you're in high school and they lay out the classes that you can pick, to fill in your time and get your credits, why welding at all? Why not something else? What attracted you to the field?
So I had done wood shop since grade 9. It was a course that I tried to pick whenever I could, kind of thing. I
Mhm.
really like the feeling of having a plan and being able to make it come to life. That feeling is just one that isn't comparable to another. So I thought maybe there would be that kind of a feeling in welding. And just because I had never tried it before, I really wanted to see what it was like. And that's where it all sparked there.
Yeah, and once that spark started, once you started creating those welds and putting steel together, what did you think about it? Were you like, yes, this is it? Or were you more like, what the heck am I getting myself into?
Um, it was, I think, more of like a yes. From the beginning, I really wanted, like, seeing my first bead that I had ever laid down. I knew I wanted to improve myself. I wanted to make it better, and I wanted to have a good final product. So I think just from there and going on, just wanting to have a good final product has been motivating me.
And what about your skill level? Like you're so young, but I feel like you're moving up the train pretty quick here. You got into a course. You took it in high school and you took a course, and like you're not even out of high school, you're already working full time with apprenticeship. That's fast track. Like, I mean, I taught for 8 years at a college. I've seen a lot of kids come and go, and I have met other kids like you, and I got to tell you, the kids like you that came out like this, they're all doing extremely well, like in life, like they're crushing it, right? Now, do you have that type of ambition in you? Like, do you like? I feel like I already feel it coming out of you, but you're kind of a quiet girl. You probably don't like to brag too much, but do you feel like you're a good welder? Like you got places to go, you got things to prove?
I feel like I want to be there one day where people can look at my stuff and say that's a good job. I have that ambition to be good one day. I feel like right now I'm still working on it, but we're making our way up there.
Well, it's a long road, and you're never done,
Yeah,
right? You're never
never
done.
done
There's welding is so huge. Like I started off as a welder at 17 myself. I was in high school when I
learning.
started. Yeah, I started welding in high school when I was 17. And now I'm, sitting at the director's office for the National Welding Company. There's no limit, right? You can do whatever you want.
No,
It's really wild. So let's now loop back up to Roseanne. Okay. So, and you gave an opportunity, or the company gives opportunities to people like Megan to come in and establish themselves not only as a good worker and as an employee that's valuable to the company, but also set them up into a mentorship position where someone like Alyssa can come in and feel comfortable on a few levels. Number one, they're local, right? They're from the local community. So, Alyssa's family may have known Megan's family, or there might be some connections. I don't know if there is or not. I'm just completely throwing it out there, but smaller communities, right? Number two, they're both women. So this is now a woman being able to mentor another woman, which is very valuable and not as common as we'd like to have in the industry. So for you, Roseanne, representing the company, there's some risk involved there. There's some risk in terms of trying to find enough people. You have the same challenges every other company has. But when you say, I want to empower women and I want to empower the Indigenous, you shorten your pool. You zone in. So there's a commitment financially, there's a commitment time-wise, there's a commitment space-wise. And how does your company look at that and yourself within that? And I'll remind you that you're muted right now, so unmute yourself before you answer.
So I think the first time I scared my boss extremely. I think that's an understatement. I think I frightened him when we started the first course, the Indigenous Women in Welding. But I think I'd proven my worth to him. I think and again, he's from an hour away, but my family knew his family in the trucking industry. So like you're saying, small communities do help, right? So I think he took a chance, definitely, in what we were trying to do with the Indigenous Women in Welding program. And in that program, we certified 7 out of the 8 women. And then we had Collège Boreal, and we had all of our Indigenous partners online with that as well. I think what I realized at the time was I was happy that this was happening, but at the same time, I was sad because there's that gap in between what we were training these women to do and the experience that people wanted. And that made me sad because we couldn't really fulfill that gap. And I couldn't take on 7 women at Maurice Welding, but I could take on 3. And so we extended the program with 3 just to keep giving them all of the tools that we could. And we knew that we could only keep 1 at that time. So the success story is really about one-on-one training. And that's when we chose to keep Megan. We saw her raw talent. We saw her dedication. We knew that she had come with some issues, but we were willing to invest in that. And I think that's really the success. You invest in your people, not only in training, but you invest in their lives. You give them the mental health support they need. You teach them about economics. You teach them about balancing a budget. You talk to them day in, day out, right? At different levels. My level, the mentor, like Denise level. So everybody took an interest in this. And in fact, her mentor was the guy that I would not have chosen had I known from the beginning, but he has become a shining star, right? Like he
Some
was
people
one of
really
my rough
shine in that
guys.
situation, yeah.
He was one of my rough guys, but he's taking these girl under his wing, and nobody can touch him. So that's fun. But he's sharing his knowledge, and his knowledge is extreme after 35 years in the business. So it's so fun to see that happening. And when he jumped on board, I knew that we now had that recipe for success because we could hold them by the hand and we could show them where we wanted them to go because we saw the potential in them, the raw talent. And there's something in their soul, the need to prove to themselves that they can be better than who they think they are. And when you achieve that, it's amazing. We look at Megan now. And even the boss, would come in and tell me, oh my God, Megan is growing by leaps and bounds. Do it again, right? So we took on Alyssa, and in Hearst this year, we took on 2 young men in Hearst with the same attitude, the same drive, the same, the want and the need to prove who they are and the capacity to learn. And I think a lot of that is we need people who want to learn, the capacity to learn.
Well, and the wanting to learn, but also I'll tell you that a big piece for successful welders that I've seen in my life is having a bit of a chip on your shoulder, a little bit of something to prove, which many of us carry, because if you want to get into something competitive, there's nothing more competitive than welding. There's no trade that has as many certifications. There's no trade that requires as much testing. We get tested more than doctors, more than pilots, more than lawyers. We are the ones that are under the microscope all the time. And if you're not in a competitive mind frame, you're not going to do very well in this industry. You got to kind of be like, bring it. I'm ready for this. I can do it. And if you fail, so what? I'm going to try again in 2 weeks and I'm going to get it right the next time, right? Like it's just that attitude. Now, Rosane, from a business point of view, we talked about there's a cost there, an investment that's beyond the welding. And I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to go around the table with everyone for your thoughts on this. But from where I sit on this side of the fence now for welding, which is like the white collar side, and I came out from the blue collar side, one of the biggest complaints I hear from industry about training centers is that the welders don't come out with the necessary skills. Like, they go to school for welding, they come out of school with certificates or, qualifications and whatever, but they are lacking so many of the other skills required to be a good worker. Not just the raw welding talent. There's a lot of other pieces of the puzzle that make you a good employee, not just your hand skills on the arc machine, right? It's a lot of pieces. And they say, why don't the kids have these things? And it's like, well, the school's not going to teach them. They don't have the time. They don't got the money. They don't got the funding. It's just not there. It's not going to happen. So then they want the students or the kids to go out and get experience somewhere, but not there, not at their shop, somewhere else's shop, and then come back when you're ready. I've been arguing for a long time that model's got to go out the window, and businesses need to be more responsible and be more, I guess, take ownership of that growth. All the schools can do is give them these skills. It's up to the employee now or the employer to take, the ones they think will fit and mold them into what they need. You got to invest into them what you want them to be, because each industry is different. Oil and gas, mining, electrical, there's millwrights, there's pipe fitters, there's all these different paths for welding. They're not going to learn all that in school. So, what you're doing, I think, is a good template that I think companies should take note of. And it may be slower in development. It may be a little bit more expensive in development. And those are arguable, and I'd love to hear your view on that. But there is definitely a level of commitment that's required that I think is missing from other places. So, Rosane, first, what do you think about that?
That's it. You need that level of commitment. You need to know what you're getting into, but you're fostering an environment of loyalty. And in the competitive world that we are now, and definitely in the North where everybody wants to go to the mines because you make a lot of money in the mines. We know the pitfalls of camp life and all that, but you need to, that's really what I think the breaking point was for Maurice Welding is we need people, and we want good people, and we want loyal people. How do we achieve all of that? And by starting at the bottom, starting fresh, we've been able to do exactly that. You've asked Megan what makes her stay. It's the friendships that she develops. It's the fact that she knows we have her back. It's she has a question, whether it's a personal one or a working one, she'll come in my office, close the door, and we'll talk. It's that investment that you make into their growth that brings you back the loyalty. And then you're cementing that. And we've seen, like, Megan is our template. She's the first one we really took on that way. And her growth is phenomenal to where she is right now. To be able to lead her own jobs, TSSA jobs, right? Like she said, the guys looked at us. They really did. Because she's a young girl. She's just going to turn 25. And to be able to coach Alyssa now, it's because we've invested everything into her. Does it cost us more money? Not really. If you look at the turnaround, right? When COVID hit, we had a lot of people from Toronto area coming up north, and people who were certified, who were good, had years of experience, and yet for reasons that happened, they didn't quite fit, and they didn't stay. I think we've kept 1 out of 5, but we're seeing the success that we're doing with Megan. So is it costing us more? Not really. It's costing us personal involvement. And I think in business, we've always been told, keep business as business and home as home. But in our small northern communities, if we want to survive at -40, we know community has to happen. And when you take that model and you apply it in your business, then we know that's how we're growing. And this model for us is working, which is why we took 2 more in Hearst. So we now have under 25, 4 kids who I think will be with
They're
us
the
for a very
future,
long
yeah.
time. Yeah, because we're investing into them.
And it's so interesting. I worked in the mines in Saskatchewan, so I did a lot of mine work, both shop and at mine sites. And the mine life is a different world, right? And people always think, oh yeah, I want to go work at the mines and make lots of money. But every year, come turnaround time, you see the same faces because not everyone lasts. People don't make it in mine life. It's a different type of industry, and it's tough. -40, wet and underground, and or up high in the wind in the crazy whatever weather. It's always an adventure on mine sites, and every day there's something exploding or breaking or whatever happening. Now, for you, Megan, coming in, what were some of the obstacles that you had in your life before you came into Maurice Welding that were really, making it rough for you to break out of your bubble? Because like now you're breaking out of your cocoon like a beautiful butterfly with a welding hood, right? And but what was stopping you from getting there before?
I would think it was, I think it was mostly my insecurities in the male-dominated industry. And also, my mental health after high school actually went down, and I didn't really know what to do with that. See, I didn't really realize I needed help. See, so it was. It took me a while to actually figure out, what I wanted to do or whatever. So it's just the help that I got at Maurice Welding with Danny and with Rosane. It was just like she said. She saw the potential in my work, and I have a hard time. I have a hard time explaining it, but. I don't know.
Was it just a lack? Was it a lack of confidence in yourself? Like, had you struggled with other things before, like not succeeding and given up, or was it just you needed a cheerleader in your corner just pumping you up?
I think that's what I needed. I think that's what it was. I think it was needing. I needed somebody to tell me, say like, you can do this. You are good at this. Let's say you are in the right place. Mm-hmm. Like, just give yourself time, be patient, and everything will fall into place like it's supposed to. And it did. I had zero patience. I thought everything had to happen right now, and like saying that I was getting very frustrated in the beginning. Like, I wanted to do jobs, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do that, but it's like I didn't have the right skills and mindset to do all of those things. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot again with Denny and my other coworkers that I'm very close with. They kind of taught me to keep my frustration elsewhere. Go for a walk. Go for that 5-minute walk. See, and clear your mind. Come back and try it again. And if it doesn't work, then ask for help. I was so scared to ask for help in the beginning because in the male-dominated industry, you have to be like rough and tough, and I can do this on my own. Like I don't need anybody's help. But it was to learn to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, and they want you to ask for help. See,
that's right. When industry is running well, when industry is running well and everyone's happy, is when everyone's communicating. Right. Yes. That's really a huge piece of industry people always forget. Everyone thinks about the rough and tumble, the rah, rah, rah. Yeah. Those people generally aren't that successful. It's usually the people that share and are nice and work together that make it successful,
Yeah. And I don't know how to say this, but I kind of want to say I brought out the vulnerability of Denny. Like, he's a lot softer. He's more he's like a little teddy bear now. Like, he's just so think we soften him up a little bit. Let's see, like he's very true to his emotions, and no,
Mhm.
it's very he's a very great mentor to have. I'm very happy to. He taught me a lot about patience. Like really,
Okay.
that's the biggest thing that I needed to learn, to just be patient.
Well,
Don't.
that's an interesting thing you bring that up because when I was talking to Rosane just a second ago about those skills you need to succeed that you don't learn in school, or there just isn't time, and patience is one of those things that you got to learn pretty quick on to not beat yourself up. And like, trust me, Megan, what you said, you're 25 years old. Look at where you are, and you're in a rush. What the heck are you in a rush for? You're doing fine, girl. Like
Yeah.
you're on track. You're ahead of the game. And you want to do more maybe in your head, but there's only so much you can do at any given time. So you just got to let things kind of fall into place, right?
Yeah. I think that's something I really needed to hear because I don't get told that often.
Yeah. Like, how many 25-year-olds are just picking up their first welding electrode
Learning
today,
process. Oh,
right?
sorry. Yeah.
Like some people are just learning how to weld at 30, right? So, or 40. So, you could be a mentor to many at different levels. And it's like, if you're indigenous, as an indigenous woman, that's also a whole nother level of inspiration that can be created for a group of people. For
Yeah.
yourself, is that important, being a successful, not just a successful woman, but a successful indigenous woman?
Yeah, because, well, I'm 18, and it's just because I know there's a big gap with the indigenous women and stuff like that. So no, it was and working with the course, it was working with all those other seven women that are indigenous women. It was, I don't know, it was very, you will learn a lot about a different culture, and it was very
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And no, it's just, I don't know. I'd love to pave a path a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more for indigenous women to see, like, you can do anything if you put your
Yeah.
mind to it, because that's basically what I did without knowing. um yeah. So
And
no.
now for you, Alyssa, you're the third gen, let's say, within this podcast. You have a woman like Megan who's still very young, and has a lot to prove, and definitely has made it clear that she wants to prove it. You don't strike me as someone, Alyssa, who has a lot that lacks much confidence. You seem like a confident young girl, and you may be coming at this from another angle, being like, "Hey, I want to crush this. What's the fastest way to crush this?" Which also says something about patience. What are the biggest things you've had to learn early on in your young welding career?
Um, Along to go with the patience thing a little bit, not getting so negative. Um, I'm somebody who I keep it to myself a lot, but I do tend to when things aren't going exactly the way you see them in your head, or when you think you should be somewhere else and things get negative mentally. It's
Mm-hmm.
something I struggled with for a long time, but I've been learning a lot with my coworkers, and to not beat yourself up and to be happy and appreciate what's going on now and what you've got now, and it'll keep falling into place, as Megan said.
Well, it's very true. And I remember when I was young and being mentored, I had a mentor, a fabricator mentor, because I have two red seals, one in welding and one in fab. My fab mentor told me once, either you're a problem solver or a problem maker. You got to choose which side of that line you're on. Because if you have a problem in front of you and you're getting grumpy about it, you're not solving nothing. You're just making things
Nope.
worse or more complicated. So shake your head, positive thoughts, find a solution. And I always think about that because sometimes you'll want to be like, I don't want to, or this is dumb. Well, is that helping at all to think like that? Like, in any way? Like, all I'm doing is just making my own life worse, which is kind of silly. But it's tough habits to build. And,
Yeah.
I'm very inspired how mature these conversations are for such young women in the industry. I think it says a lot for your community, first of all, and a lot for the work that you have and the program that's being run there at Maurice. I know We just did an article with you guys for Weld Magazine that looks fantastic. We'll go now back up to Rosane. Actually, you know what? I'm way past commercial time. Let's take a break for commercials right now for our advertisers. And when we get back, I got questions for Rosane about the template of this and possibly the future of how this would work. So don't go anywhere here on the CWB Association podcast. We'll be right back with Alyssa, Rosane, and Megan from Maurice Welding.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld Magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here on the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and I'm here with Megan Parent, Rosane Parent, related through cousins or uncles or some, and then Elissa Mayhew from Maurice Welding, all up in the Cap, Ontario, because I'm cool and I call it the Cap now. I got told that that's the cool way to say it. And I can say it's from the Cap, no cap, and that's even cooler. So, Rosane, we were talking about this ability to foster not just skill, because it's more than just skill that makes a good employee, but this whole attitude that I'm seeing with these two young women of wanting to contribute, wanting to problem solve, wanting to already give back in their young, careers to the coworkers around them and to the jobs they're on. That, number one, there's got to be some luck involved. Right, there's got to be some luck involved to just have these people come into your world and your spectrum, or is this just really the proof that companies around the world that are struggling with hiring gotta maybe pull their heads out of the workopolis butt and stop trying to just find these magical unicorns from around the world and maybe just start seeing what they can do better internally to invest into success?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with being able to look at your community, look at your youth, look at your women, to look at those who you usually would not take a look at, and to really empower them into looking at themselves in the way that they can move forward. We also have a young man who's just, he must be 25 now, on a millwrighting apprentice. And again, it's about seeing what you have out there and talking to them. The life skills, right, that are not taught, the life skills that maybe aren't even learned at home, the traumas that we live, everybody has a story. Nobody has a perfect fairy tale, rose-colored glasses life. And the environment maybe in which we live in, because we are more northern, we are more small, rural community, and we do need to depend on each other. Maybe that brings out some of the characters' traits that you're seeing in Elissa and Megan. But I think it's about not being ashamed of talking about spirituality, of talking about God, of talking about something bigger, of talking about how do we navigate the issues in life? How do we navigate mental health? We're not afraid of mental health. What's out there and why does it hurt? We're not afraid of taking off the Band-Aids that society have always put on, shut up and work, and going, no, you're bleeding from the inside out. We need to know so that we can help you move forward, so that we can carry you through these issues because we've been through them, right? And when we talk to each other, we have similar places that we connect. And that's where, for me, it's important, because then I can tell Megan, you're okay. And you are going to make it, because I'm proof that we make it. And we can turn around and tell Elissa, look, You're doing awesome. You're going to learn these skills. You're going to learn more about you. You're going to learn to be able to look in the mirror and tell you, what are we supposed to say when we look in the mirror, girls? I'm courageous. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent, right? Those are the words that I've taught my children, but I teach Megan and Alyssa to be able to give yourself that empowerment, to not wait for everybody else to give it to you, but to understand that it's also a gift because there's something bigger in life. There's a bigger universe out there, right? So to be able to situate yourself that way, to understand that we're just humans trying to make it through, from step A to step B. And in the meantime, let's be kind and gentle to ourselves and to others. And when you do that, when you invest that way into people, when you see them for the spiritual beings that they are, and you invest into their hearts and into their mind, look at our results. How can we say it's not worth it, right?
Well, it's wonderful. And like my mom used to buy herself flowers, and I never got it as a little kid. And one day when I was a teenager, I asked my mom, "Why do you buy yourself flowers?" And she says, "Everyone's entitled to their own parades." And and I love that. It's true. Like you don't wait for no one to come to your door and say, "Wow, great job." I mean, don't get me wrong. It feels great to hear it. It feels great to have someone say it to you. But you got to take those moments to look at yourself and be like, "I'm killing it. This is great. This is good." And I should be proud of myself. And maybe I'll take myself out for supper tonight, or maybe I'll go buy myself those shoes this weekend because I deserve it. And I don't need to feel guilty about it. I don't need to do nothing. It's just an A to B. I worked hard because I got skills. Those skills paid me a paycheck, and I'm allowed to treat myself how I want to because I earned it. And that's a very simple little piece of financial stability that makes people feel very empowered. You know what I mean? Now,
very much so. And the other thing is fear. Fear is often the thing that will stop people from knocking on our door or from us seeing their true talent because they're scared. And I keep telling the students that I see there is no mistake. There's no mistakes. Whether or not you achieve what we want you to achieve, there's no mistake because I'm learning where I need to train you. So it's not a mistake. It's just things that you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. Simple as that. So when you can eliminate the fear barrier, the fear of trying, the fear of trying again and again and again. And I've actually, I challenge them, and we've set up a whole training program for anybody that comes in to see what their skill levels are. And I've trained them to understand safety. I've trained them to understand quality. They had to take scrap steel. They had to do drawings. I told them to go back to the drawing board with their drawings because their symbols were not put on right. Their bill of material might have not been what I wanted. And you just keep going, do it again, do it again. And that kind of investment that you're putting into somebody like Alyssa at the beginning, the first 6 months, right, of her apprenticeship is really about honing in where you notice that she needs training. And so far we're doing exceptionally well with this, to the point where the boss is actually not afraid like he was in 2020 anymore. He's on board and cheering this up and going, get me more, because we've seen how it works, right? We've seen the success.
Now, Megan, the next question is for you. You're in this environment now where it feels like it's pretty empowering for you to kind of reach for the stars. What's next on your list? What is it that you see for your future? What would you like to get to? And I don't want to make you feel like I want you to think big, even bigger than Maurice Welding. Don't be afraid. Hopefully this doesn't offend anybody there if you say you want to work for Tesla or something, but you know what I mean? What would your end game be, or where do you see yourself growing into?
I have a few ideas, but really this past year I've been growing a lot with my piping. So, and I've been having a lot of amazing opportunities with that work, with my TSSA work. So I guess in the next years, I am anxious to see where that will take me. And last year, I had a really good feeling of 2024, how I will have more open opportunities. And so far, I did. And these experiences have been amazing, and I had no idea I would have ever been able to do those things. And I also do a little bit of a little bit of metal art at home.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've been experiencing with roses. I know it's very common to do like metal roses, but they're so unique and different, and everybody that makes them, they're not the same, and everybody does them in a very different way. So I don't know. I'm kind of exploring my skills out of the shop. So I've been kind of messing around with a little bit of I've been doing roses. I did like I've been using like scrap metals to make like old chipping hammers, and I made like a little magic canoe, and I've made pine cones, and they turned out very nice. So it's just
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess it's all of these skills I've been learning. There's endless opportunities, and
So do you have a little shop? Do you have a little shop at home to practice in, or?
I actually have my grandfather has a trucking business, so they don't haul wood anymore. So basically, my dad's the trucking coach mechanic in that shop. Don't ask me how long it's been running. I know it's been running for many, many years. My dad started at 13, so and he's 53 now, so he's been there for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I have my little space at that shop, and I can use it whenever I want. So
That's awesome.
I'm very lucky. Yeah, very lucky to have that space there. I have a lot of nice people around me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next, same question for you, Alyssa. You know, what is it you see as your next steps in your career? Like, you're very early on. You know, you just started your apprenticeship. Are you thinking you're Red Seal, you're journey persons? Are you just concentrating on work, or are you just thinking about next week and what's going to happen? You know, what's your frame of mind?
Lately I've been taking it really day by day. I'm somebody, like I said, I get negative and overwhelmed, so I take it really day by day because sometimes it all racks up there. But eventually, I think I'd like to get my Red Seal, but I'd like to focus a bit more on pipe for now to work on there and learn more about the pipe fitting too. I think that really interests me, so don't know until you try it.
And there is a Red Seal in pipe fitting as well. You know, there is always opportunities to apprentice in different streams. And maybe this is going back to Megan now. You know, with your interest in piping, are you looking at going into the pipe fitting trades, or you just want to be like a pipe ticketed welder?
I'm not sure. I think I've been actually asking myself this question because I do want more experience in the pipe fitting trade, because there is two workers in Maurice Welding in Hearst actually, and they are pipe welders and both pipe fitters.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to weld and fit your own pieces would be amazing.
Would be pretty
And
cool.
for women to be able to do that, that's like another thing. So no, I don't know. I'm very go with the flow, and everything has been falling into place for me. So I believe that if I take every opportunity that I can, everything will fall into place for me. But I do want to move more towards the pipe welding and pipe fitting. I'm very curious to where that will take me in the future.
Well, there's a lot of amazing Canadian women in the pipe fitting industry. You see them on Instagram. I don't know if you follow Iron Mills or any of them. Kayla's amazing. She's a good friend of ours, and she's out in Alberta kicking butt in the pipe fitting and welding industry. So it's very much doable. But on the other hand, I hope you guys stay with Rosane and her team forever, because I know that would make them very, very, very happy. And I'm sure that what you guys are doing there is really kind of laying down the seeds for future successes for the generations after you. Because, I mean, 25 and 17, you got to be kidding me. You guys got whole lifetimes ahead of you. I've changed careers within welding probably 6 or 7 times. And every time it worked out. Like, I mean, it's just one of those industries. Ride what you do until you don't feel like you're enjoying it or learning much anymore. Then try something else, because there's just so much. And, even within a company, you can always move around and do different things within a company to expand those skill sets. For the future, I guess, we're getting close to the end of the interview, but I'm curious to see what the personal goals are. And let's go around the table. I'll start with you, Elissa. Outside of welding, or maybe related to what welding can do for you, because there's that whole aspect of having a good job and making good money and being secure that welding brings, which is lovely. It's a wonderful part of the trade. What are some of the personal goals you have for yourself that you would like to grow on?
A really big personal goal of mine, even though with how like the economy is looking right now, it's not the best, but I'd really like to have my own house one day. I really like to have my own bit of property and, have something that's my own space. It's something I've always saved some money to try and work up to there, but I'm hoping in the next like 10, 15 years, it would be something I'd really like to do.
Oh, you'll be there way before then. Don't worry, girl. You making money the way you're going to be making money, I'd say by 20, you're going to have a house, no problem. Trust me. And interest rates just went down, so it's not all doom and gloom. Just save your money and you'll get there. Don't worry. Megan, what's your personal, outside of welding, dream that you would like to achieve or get to?
I'm a very big animal lover. It was, I knew I always wanted to do something with animals, but career-wise, that did not happen. But I consider myself an equestrian, so I ride horses. I've been riding them since I was like around maybe 9 to 10 years old. And so, yeah, I'd love to have my own place with a little bit of land, but also I'd love to travel. So there's a little like between the two. So it's
it's hard to have animals if you're on the road.
Yeah, but I've been taking care of a ranch for a couple for around 10 years. So if I would be able to find somebody to take care of my place like I do for them, that would be great. That would just be great. I would be able to travel a little bit, a couple times a year, but that's just for the future. I don't know if that'll actually happen.
I'm sure it will if you wanted to. Like, I mean,
yes.
It's not about if, it's just when,
Yeah.
right? It's up to you to figure out when you decide to focus on that. I love traveling myself, so I've had to give up pets most of my life. I have a turtle because I can leave my turtle at home alone for like a month and she's fine. But not that she likes that. She's grumpy when I leave her home alone for that long, but I can. But they're just choices you make, right? Plus, I had kids really young. I don't know if either of you two got kids yet, but I had kids young. So then now that I'm, late 40s, I'm freewheeling now. I can do whatever I want. So, but you guys don't have kids. You can do that now. Right. So
yeah, that's the thing.
And for you, Rosane, what's a personal goal for you? You came from a couple different industries. Now you're working at this company trying to make some waves and have some ideas and they're giving you the space to do that. What do you see for yourself in terms of personal growth or side projects or hustles? What do you got going on?
I think it's twofold. I think the first part that I like is leaving a legacy. And I was driving big trucks, Kenworths. I was 18 years old at a time where you didn't see women on wood, right? So, and it felt powerful. It felt good. So I like to share that and to make way for women and youth so that they can have that space. We're not traditional, I guess, and I keep reinventing myself. My daughter, one of my daughters just graduated from grade 12 and she wants to start a homestead. She didn't want a career. She didn't want, she had to fight with her teachers going, no, that's not what I want. I want to learn how to cook. I want to learn how to sew. Which she's been doing.
And that's a career. I don't know how that's not a career. That's a full-time job.
She makes a lot of her stuff. She makes my children are Métis. She makes her own mittens. She makes her own mucklucks. She's growing in her skills. And again, she's the same age as Alyssa. She graduated in the same class. So I think that my goal there is to apply everything that I've learned and I've shared with everybody else now with my daughter, and to have this new invention into homesteading, which I'm not sure what we'll do there with her, and see where that goes. And hopefully along the line have a few grandchildren that I can spoil.
That's next on my list too. My daughter's 26 and my son's 22. I just hung out with them this weekend camping, and I was like, okay, I'm ready, guys. I'm ready. I don't know what you guys are doing. I already had 2 kids by 24. Not that I want a new one. That's not necessarily the best path, but no, it's wonderful hearing this and seeing the cycle, between the work. I made a note here as we were all talking, and I wrote down partnerships and collaborations, because a lot of times when people think about partnerships and collaborations, they think purely financial. They think of purely financial or monetary or economic goals, like we'll partner with you on this to save money on X, or we'll partner with you on this to make that job easier. What I think is a kind of an interesting subtext to that is personal partnerships. Like, I'm partnering with you not just for the skills that you need for the specific job, but I'm going to partner with you in terms of just maybe making your life a little easier. Maybe one thing, if I can make one little thing in your life easier, then that gives you space and agency to be better at something else, right? One less worry on your plate gives you time to do something else, right? And I think that's a big picture of what's happening here. It's a partnership with the community, a partnership with the staff, with the people themselves, and it's a partnership with the industry as well, to say, hey, look, this is a thing. And there is other companies doing what you guys are doing, but it's vast minority, right? So what do we do to pitch this idea up the pole, as they say? And I think that's the next piece for Maurice Welding now as a company, which, I'm not sure how privy you are to the top management level, but is there a desire to, like you said, there's more than one company, under this banner. Do they follow this template at all of them, or only where Rosane is, right?
Rosane was the beginning. And this year we're following in hers as well. Okay. So we are doing it within the overall umbrella of the organization to move people forward that way. I think people need to learn from what we've put together. I think, and everybody's always scared of company secrets, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not a secret, and we don't want it to remain a secret. In fact, we talk about it with some of the other companies that we partner up with. We talk about it with our clients. When we have questions that come in, I will take the time to explain to our clients why I'm sending them to women if they ask a question. And a lot of those companies are surprised by the level of quality that they're seeing in the people that we mentor personally. And they don't understand. And that's where I jump in and say, because you're not involved personally. You're doing the organizational chart thing and you're moving down the line, but you're not putting anything of yourself into their accomplishment. And the only way they'll accomplish and move forward is if you invest personally at the top level. And it has to come from the top level, right? The boss let me run this. I'm lucky enough to be part of that management team that I could have the impact that I needed to have. And I think that's the secret. At the top levels, you need to involve yourself. My dad taught me I was 8 years old. He came and got me. I was playing with my friends. It was a weekend, and he said, these trucks need to be clean, and you're going to clean them because the people who drive them put the food on your table. And that's how it worked. I wasn't daddy's little princess. I was to be part of this cycle. And that is the best lesson that I've ever learned. And it's the lesson that I keep trying to teach to everybody, including my children. It is a cycle. People help each other out. Those who put the food on the table, you need to help them out. And I remember some of my children's friends going, your mom's so mean. She's making you do the dishes. But it was about accountability, responsibility. But more than that, it was about community. Family is the micro of community, right? So if they can learn how to interact in the family properly, then they'll interact in the community. And my children have, hundreds of hours of volunteer in the community because it's needed. And the more they give out, the more they grow and the more they become solid in who they are. And that's what industry needs to learn. It comes from the top, and you involve yourself personally because you think about this not just as a business. You think about it as your community. This is my community right now.
Yeah. All right. I love that. That's wonderful. Well, we've come to the end of the interview. We've ran out of time. I feel like we could talk for another hour. This has been fantastic, but I want to go around the table now just for the last question. But Elissa, for you, as the junior executive on this call, what advice would you give another young woman, in your same situation, just coming out of high school? What advice would you give them if they're thinking about getting into trades? What would you say would make it easier, or what they should look out for?
Never be afraid to ask questions. Always ask. There's no mistakes to be made. There's only things to learn from, and to take any opportunity that becomes available, because you never know what it might teach you and where it might bring you.
Awesome. Good advice. Good advice. Megan, what advice would you give for a 25-year-old woman that's perhaps, just low on confidence, has had a bit of a rough go, had a few gnarly things happen in their life? What advice would you give for them, saying, maybe look at the trades. Maybe this is where you need to be?
I guess basically to never give up. That's the biggest thing. It's never give up on your biggest dreams, because they can happen, and they did for me. And it seems almost unbelievable, but it is like, it's just so simple to never give up on what you truly want. And I have so many things that I could say, but the biggest one would be that one. Follow your dreams, and to never, ever give up on what you truly want.
Awesome. Thank you. And Rosane, what would you say to the other employers out there that are unsure or struggling about getting hiring practices or changing the way they hire and train? What piece of advice would you give other corporate, HR teams or trainers or recruiters?
Don't be afraid to look outside the box, and don't look for a specific set of skills all the time. Look for the person within. Look at the eagerness to work, the eagerness to learn. I have reinvented myself time and time again, and will do so again. And I'm 54. So there is always a way to move forward for your company. You just need to have the imagination that comes with it, I guess. Just, think outside the box, because what you've been doing isn't working if you're still struggling. So don't keep hitting your head against that wall. Think of something different, right? And most of the time, you will find that eagerness, that willingness that we see in Megan and Elissa, and people who have struggled. So the people that we usually marginalize in society have become our greatest successes, because they had to develop skills to go through the issues that they went through. And they bring that to the table. So no, they might not have the education. They might not have, college. They might even have struggled for their grade 12. They might be in grade 10 and should have graduated years ago. But look at how much they want to get out of the issue that they're in, or the low income that they're in, the family dynamics that they're in. Look at how much they want to get out, and then invest in them. Because the moment you do that, you create that loyalty, and you give them the space to succeed.
Awesome. I love it. And this has been a great interview. I think it's been very educational for anyone who's listening to the podcast. I hope they really get a lot out of it. I know I've learned a number of things, and I hope I get up into your neck of the woods someday. I'd love to come for a tour and for you guys to show me the shop and see what's going on there. I would love to do that.
You're always welcome to come up north. Try
Thank you.
not to make it January. It's minus 40.
Well, it's minus 40 in Saskatchewan too, so I might be just trading one for the other. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. And on behalf of the CWB group, we really love what you guys are doing, and congratulations. Even with the magazine, we're trying to invest our space to support your cause, because I know that you guys have a wonderful thing going. So thank you so much. And for all the people that have been following and downloading and watching the episodes, thank you so much for being a part of the CWB Association podcast community. We're growing faster than ever. We're coming up, I think, on 175 episodes or more. We're really getting up there, and it's going great. So if you have anyone to suggest, send them our way. And any comments or suggestions, please put them on our posts, and we're more than happy to look at them. But until then, stay tuned for the next episode.
We hope you enjoy the show.